If you're a busy dad who skips breakfast, that one habit is probably why you can't lose the weight. And I'm going to show you exactly why in the next few minutes. By the end of this video, you're going to understand three things. First, what skipping breakfast is actually doing inside your body and why it's working directly against everything that you're trying to achieve. Second, why you're so hungry and out of control at night. It's not just a self-control problem. It's your body telling you something. Once you understand it, you can't unsee it. And third, the simple fix. No calorie counting, no complicated plan that you know is not going to stick to you for more than a week. Just a shift in your structure that gets your body working for you instead of against you and your life as a busy dad. This isn't just theory, because I've applied this myself for over 25 years and we've helped hundreds of men all around the world through it. It works, and they all say it's a game changer once they start doing it. Hi, my name is Andrew Jacks. I'm the founder of Six Pack Dad. I have a degree in human movement, and I'm a former national bodybuilding champion. I've been coaching busy men and dads for years, but more than the qualifications, I'm a dad of three. I run a global business. I work long hours at a desk. I serve in my church community. And my life is full, genuinely full. And I've maintained a healthy weight and a six-pack through all of it. Not because I have some perfect schedule or a personal chef, because I've cracked the code on what actually works inside a real life. And I believe deeply that God has given us these bodies to steward well, not to neglect and not to take for granted, but to take care of them with wisdom so we can show up fully for the people and the purposes that He has placed in our lives. And that's the lens that I coach from. That's the lens that this video comes from too. I've worked with over 550 men and couples, CEOs, business owners from all walks of life, men who were told by their doctors that medication was coming if they didn't change something, whether that be with their blood pressure, cholesterol, or even diabetes. And one of my clients, Brad, he came to me never eating breakfast and sometimes skipping lunch too. And then what happened was he ended up gorging himself every night. And he thought that that's just the way I've always done it, and like that's what I'm used to, but didn't realize that his body was just doing what bodies do. Like when they're trying to compensate, that's what happens. So we're gonna come back to Brad's story in a moment, because it's gonna sound very familiar to a lot of you that are watching this and probably skip breakfast too, and you'll see what happened to him. All right, let's get into it. Here's exactly what happens when you skip breakfast. We're gonna go through 5 steps, so let's follow along together. Step 1, you're putting your body into debt from the moment that you wake up. Okay, so your body, it needs fuel to function. From the second you open your eyes, it's running, right? Your brain is firing, you're checking your phone, you're already thinking about the day ahead, and you've got problems to solve, decisions to make, and people to lead. When you don't eat breakfast, when you skip that, the machine, it's still running and it has no fuel into it, right? And most men think that this is a good thing. No, fuel in means no calories stored, right? That's not how the body works. Your body wants new fuel to start the day, right? Including the brain. It hasn't had anything for hours overnight. You wake up, it needs some glucose to operate efficiently with your brain, right? To give you as much fuel as it needs to be able to operate at that level. And if you don't feed it, it can actually also slow down your metabolism to preserve energy. And a lower metabolism, what does that mean? It means a lower fat metabolism, which means you're not burning as much fat as you could. So this is when eating more is actually doing you good if you were to have breakfast. And a lot of the clients that come to me say, I didn't realize I could eat more and still lose weight. So there's a revelation potentially for you. Plus, let's see what else it's doing to you. So let's go on to step 2. Your hunger hormones build all day without you realizing it. So there's a hormone called ghrelin, and the way to remember what's that associated with, I think of it as ghrelin, G grumble, right? When your stomach's grumbling, that means like you're hungry. So think of ghrelin like that. And that's your hunger hormone. So when you haven't eaten, ghrelin rises. The longer you go without food, the higher it climbs. And by the time a breakfast skipper gets to midday, their ghrelin is already elevated. And by 3 o'clock typically people get cravings or, have some level of hunger then. It gets higher again. And then by the time they sit down for dinner or even beforehand, after a long day at work, the ghrelin has been building for about 12 hours. So what happens when you finally sit down, the day's settled, right? You're in the kitchen speaking with your wife or near the pantry, right? Your body doesn't want a normal portion. It wants everything in sight and it wants it fast. Brad described it to me perfectly. He said, Andrew, look, I'd come home after work ravenous. Dinner wouldn't be ready, so I'd go to the pantry, grab some crisps, maybe cheese and crackers and some nuts, all stuff that's high in fat, high in calories, except for the crackers, right? Then I'd sit down at dinner and I'd load up my plate and then it'll be finished before I even tasted it. That's where you give self-control little chance, right? That's a man whose body had been waiting all day and finally got the green light and went for it. Right, so let's move on to step 3, where dinner becomes a binge, not a meal. So the portion is too big, the eating is too fast, the brain hasn't had time to register that fullness levels yet because the stomach, it takes about 20 minutes to send that signal up to say, that's enough food, let's stop. So that's why it's important to eat slow and to wait after you've had your meal, even if you feel like eating more, okay? And then what happens is if you don't allow that time for that brain to catch up, you're back into the kitchen, you're eating something sweet maybe, or something salty, chips, chocolate, biscuits, a couple of drinks to unwind as well, if you haven't already started that before dinner. And you're not even consciously deciding, like your hands just find the pantry. And this is where the real damage happens because you're not eating with purpose. You're bumping your calories up, you're bumping your fat intake up, and all that stuff, especially at night, doesn't get burned for energy. You end up sleeping on it, and then the next day you're like, I don't feel like breakfast. That's because you've eaten too much at night. That's because your body doesn't need it because you've overeaten at night time. And those calories, they don't get used. So they end up particularly turning to fat, right? Especially around your midsection, around your belly, where the dangerous fat is. And this is where you're fighting what your body needed from the start of the day. This is where you're compensating for the start of the day. A battle that you were always going to lose because the deck was actually stacked against you from the moment that you skipped breakfast. I like to think about this as stewardship, right? God didn't design our bodies to run on nothing all day and then catching up on it at night. He designed them to be fueled consistently, right? Looking after it with wisdom and treating it as the gifts that they actually are. When we ignore that design, I feel like that we're neglecting the body that He's given us. And that's why it's so important. That's why I challenge you to start eating and thinking with purpose when it comes to your food, your diet, and the structure around it. You need to establish that. Step number 4, the next morning you're not hungry, so the cycle starts again. I talked about this just a little before. You're not hungry in the morning because you ate too much the night before. Your body's still processing it. You wake up full and then you feel like, oh, I don't have no appetite for it. And then you skip it again. And that's a vicious cycle that keeps happening. Some people have been doing it all their life, right? And they don't even know it. And that's why I'm bringing this to you. It's important that you know this. It's the consequence of last night's eating, which was the consequence of skipping yesterday's breakfast. Round and round it goes. And that's where the weight quietly keeps creeping on. So please be aware of it. So let's go on to the fix. Step number 5. And it's a lot simpler than you think. And it's something that can be broken straight away. My clients, we get it sorted in the first week and they see the results from it. So simple as just eat breakfast. I don't have enough time to eat breakfast. Well, realistically, how much time does it take? 10, 15 minutes at the most, right? It's the simplest meal to prepare, simplest meal to eat. It can be done very quickly and you can even prepare it the night before, right? So the main thing is for you is to have protein, some form of protein with your breakfast and some form of carbs. I'm going to give you some examples and it should be done within the first hour of getting up. That way it spikes your metabolism and keeps it elevated throughout the rest of the day, as long as you keep fueling it with your next meals when you start to feel those hunger cues, because that's your body telling you, I need food. So back to the protein. Eggs, right? No more than 2 eggs because the yolk does contain fat. Low-fat yogurt, low-fat milk, or a protein shake, one that doesn't have sugar in it. And the carbs, wholemeal toast is fine. You can't have bread. Yes, you can, right? I've been having bread all my life and I've got a 6-pack. Oats, you can have oats mixed with low-fat milk, yogurt, right? Wholemeal cereal is okay. Just watch the sugar content in those. It needs to be very low in sugar. And then adding some fruit as well could be something that you add to the yogurt, for example, as your form of carbohydrates. And that way you're getting your fruit intake for the day, which I recommend 2 pieces of fruit per day. When I work with men on this inside my program called the Ditch the Dad Fat program, we work on this in week 1, right? Before we change anything else, we get that meal structure right. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, no fasting, right? It's properly timed, properly proportioned, no skipping. And within a week, most men feel very different. Evening is noticeably more manageable. They say the snacking automatically just reduces and their weight starts dropping in that first week. 3 to 5 pounds is what we typically see in that first week. So Brad came to me eating nothing all day. He was gorging every night. We fixed the structure, started with breakfast. The weight started shifting immediately. Not just the weight, but his energy improved. He felt lighter, he felt better, he felt clearer mentally, right? He felt his evenings were under control and he stopped feeling like he was fighting himself every night. And that's what stewarding your body well looks like in practice. It's not about perfecting it, just having intention, purpose, structure, and following it through consistently. That way you can show up for yourself the way you show up for everything else and everyone else in your life. You potentially lead a business, a team, your family. It's time to start leading yourself here too. So let me ask you something before we close this video. When was the last time you actually checked up on your health? Not just guessed it, not just assumed, not just told yourself you get around to it, actually checked. Most of the dads and business owners that I talk to, they have no idea where they really stand. They know something feels off, that the energy is low, the weight isn't shifting, but they've never had it laid out clearly in front of them. That's why I created the free 6-Pack Dad Health and Wellness Audit. It only takes a few minutes. It measures your body's real age based on your telomere health and your current habits. It's not the age on your license or your actual biological age. It's your age your body is functioning at right now. You'll also get your vitality score, so you know exactly where your health stands and what it's costing you. And you'll get a scorecard that explains all about it. Either way, you walk away knowing, no more guessing, and you've got an idea of where you currently stand with that, right? So tap the link in the description below and take it now. It's free, only take a few minutes, and it might be the most important thing that you do for yourself today if you haven't got checked up in a while. And if you found this video helpful, please hit subscribe, hit the like button. I put out content most weeks, right? Specifically for dads and business owners who want to get their health sorted without turning their whole life upside down. And also, can you drop a comment below? Tell me, are you a breakfast skipper? Yes or no? And how long has that been your pattern? I read every single comment and I'd love to hear from you. Look, most of the men that I work with, they're good men, they're hard workers, they're committed, they're faithful to their families and their businesses and their communities, but somewhere along the way, they just stopped being faithful to themselves. They put their health last, they told themselves there wasn't time, they ran that engine flat out with no maintenance and just wondered why it started making noises. That's you. I want you to know something. Getting this sorted, it's not selfish. It's not just about looking good, right? Because when you look after yourself, it allows you to have the energy to lead your family well, about presenting better at home, right? Not just physically, but mentally. It's about stewarding what you've been given so that way you can keep doing what you've been called to do for a long, long time. So start having breakfast if you aren't already. And if you want to know how to lose your first 10 pounds fast, I want you to watch this video right here that I made that shows you how. And remember to look after yourselves so you can look after your family.